Albert AWOL, the voice of the jungle, broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hello and welcome home. This episode of Welcome Home is brought to you by DVC Resale Market. Thank you for joining us on episode 302 of Welcome Home, a Disney Parks and Vacation Club podcast. I'm Tom, here with Trevor and Damon. How's it going, guys?
I almost closed down the window.
Well, that would have been bad. It's not a good idea, yeah.
I almost closed it down. I have too many windows open. You know, I pre-plan like what I'm going to do during the podcast as well as podcast.
You're a multitasker. You like to multitask.
I really do like to multitask. I don't know why, because like I'll multitask, but then I'll also then waste an hour of playing Wizardry Daphne on my phone. You know what I mean? So like, sure. I don't understand myself sometimes.
Well, but when you play stuff on your phone, do you always have something in the background? Because I'm a big like background.
No, like Wizardry Daphne, like I didn't realize this game existed for like a long time. I didn't realize it's been around for like 12 years. I love the heck out of it. And no, I'm just dialed in, man. Like I love that.
Because I mean, like I like to have background shows. I think I've talked about this before. Where I, when I'm doing work or like doing stuff around the house, I just like to have something in the background with noise. And so my recent one is The Simpsons. And part of the reason I chose The Simpsons is because I tend to blow through background shows really quickly, but The Simpsons is like an insane amount of episodes. Yeah. So if you start from the beginning, you're talking like a crazy amount of episodes. It's going to take me a long time to get through all those, which is good. It's exactly what I want for a background show. But I do
that sometimes before I go to sleep. But King of Queens is like my show.
King of Queens.
Like you have no idea how much I love King of Queens. Like I love that show, man.
That is really, really random.
Yes. It's one of my favorite shows, though.
Yeah, I get that.
All right. So, listen, I did a thing.
Yeah, I got to talk about all this on Facebook.
Yeah, I posted this on Facebook. So, after some discussion about what we were doing for Epic Universe, so we're there 3 days, but let's talk about the Disney portion first. So, realized we didn't have a room. I love my wife dearly, but I think she's a little overworked at work. And like things I've been like, hey, can you do this or can you do that? I just assume are done and they're not. So we've been dealing with that. And I was like, hey, so you booked a room for Disney the night before we go to Universal, right? She's like, no. And I'm like, oh, well, we probably want to do that. So we said, you know what? I'm looking at the calendar for myself. And I think to myself, well, I have no points this year, but I can borrow, right? No big deal. And I said, am I really going to Disney in 26? I don't think there's going to be anything out that I need to go see. And we had kind of talked about, I'm going to try to hit that one day at Disney when I'm before the cruise to do Tron. And in theory, what's the other fake redone ride? Yeah, thank you, Tiana's.
Redone ride.
So I think I just need to do those two. And are we going to really see anything new in 26?
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about like wholesale new?
Yeah, wholesale new.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think so.
Anyway, so I was just looking at my points and I say to myself, well, I can get by with doing a 1 day like kind of blowout room, because I don't think I'm going to need a ton of points in 26. I think that's more of what I was getting at. And remember, we also have that cross-country trip to Disneyland planned. So I don't think I'm going to need points in general. So anyway, so I said, well,
wait, but
go ahead.
You're going to need points at Disneyland, though.
No, I'm not. I'm not going to stay on site.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think I'll stay on site. So I said, okay, so what do I want to do? So we booked a 2-bedroom Riviera for the night, which I'm kind of excited about, maybe. I think.
Have you stayed there yet?
No, and
I think
we own 2 contracts there.
Yeah, I think you're going to like it, because just when Trevor and I walked through it, I was like, Damon would like this place.
Yeah, I mean, I own 2 contracts there and I've never stayed there. So I was like, I really have to stay there. My parents have stayed there. So I kind of like, I feel like a little FOMO, like, wow, my parents have stayed somewhere at Disney and I haven't even stayed there yet. So we got a 2-bedroom. I think the other part of it too is because when we go to Universal, we're staying at Portofino's and we're staying in a single room with 5 of us because it was just so ridiculously expensive to get 2 rooms, that we kind of felt like, well, at least give them a night of everyone having their own space to kind of sleep. So at Portofino's, my boys are going to have to double up. I just couldn't do it. Like, it was just ridiculous. We're there 3 days. So 3 days, 2 days at regular Universal, 1 day at Epic Universe, tickets, hotel, and everything $78, like 98 or something for 3 days. It's crazy.
What?
Yep.
That's
but
nuts.
I couldn't tag on another room because I was like, there's no way. So I told the boys, like, listen, you guys just have to bunk it out. So what we decided to do, because we were doing that, is go concierge level, because then at least they don't have to like hang out in the, like, you know what I mean? Like they can just come back and go to sleep rather than having to kind of hang out in the room. So we'll see how that works. I'm curious to see. It wasn't that much more expensive to do that when you're already paying $1 gazillion. So yes, that all of that money includes the hotel, the concierge level. We have the free express passes for the Universal Islands of Adventure and the regular park. And then it was like, so we're going to Universal Epic. And I was like, man, like how disappointed am I going to be if I get there and ride 3 rides? Going to be kind of mad.
Yeah.
And I saw that express passes were selling out like crazy. I was shocked at like, so our express passes for the 5 of us are like $1,300 for the day, right? And again, I know people love, oh, Dane wants to talk about how much money everything is. Dude, this is important for people to know how much things cost, right? Like it's not me talking about anything other than people understand like what these costs are involved.
Yeah, no, I think that's
sorry, I don't know if anybody's said like
they have.
Okay.
We've gotten comments
like
about that, but that doesn't matter because I don't care anymore. So too bad for them. But so we're paying that money. But what I kind of said to myself was, well, if I'm not going to go back to Universal, I don't see Universal having anything new that I need to see after this, probably for at least 3 years. That's my guess. Probably more, to be honest with you, but let's just call it 3 years. I got to pay that money because if I go there and I literally ride 3 rides, I'm going to be very upset. So
yeah, absolutely.
Got the express passes for that day, which I think will be great. We also can get in the park early. And now the question has come up, where do we go first? Right? So there's 3 rides that are not on Express Pass. You have Harry Potter Ministry of Magic. You have the Dragon Rider coaster. And then you have Donkey Kong. So the Dragon Rider coaster, it literally looks like a Slinky Dog, Big Bear at Dollywood. It's themed really well, but that's off the list. So, okay, now we got
not a priority. Not a priority.
Yeah. So what I said, well, I want to do Ministry of Magic by far. But then my daughter came up with something. She said, well, listen, she goes, 1, Donkey Kong's a shorter ride and it's outside. She goes, and there's probably not as much to look at. She goes, look at the Ministry of Magic inside. It looks awesome. Like even if you had to spend some time in there. So I think we're going to go Donkey Kong and hopefully be on and off Donkey Kong before the park opens to the public, right? So that's the goal, at least, to do it in that path. And then, like I said, we'll probably skip the other one and then we get to do everything else. So that's the thought here. We'll see how it goes. It's going to be a crazy freaking trip.
That is really interesting. I mean, I'm my trip obviously is much smaller than this, and it's for like a day and a half.
Yeah.
And I don't know what we're even doing next year. I have no idea. And I mean, truthfully, it doesn't matter for me at this point in my life with my daughter if there's new things or not, because a lot of
absolutely.
stuff.
We were talking about this with my daughter today, so I was kind of having this discussion about like core memory sort of situations. For the age your daughter is, we were going to Disney 2 to 3 times a year, right? And it was great. Again, we were going like kind of with ourselves to build that family bond. And then every once in a while we'd go with family as well. But most of the time we were kind of going by ourselves. And I think that was kind of key. I always look at my 3 kids and we always talk about this is, how close they are as kids. And I'm surprised sometimes because they're all very, good way to put this with like my kids are all in their own right. Popular is not a good word. That's not really what I'm looking for, but they all have their own interests and are very busy. So it's not like they're like, oh, I got nothing to do. Let me hang out with my siblings. No, they're all very, very busy people with what they do. So it's nice that they still are willing to kind of hang out together. And I think a lot of that was just by going to Disney when they were growing up. So I agree with you, Tom. Like, I mean, I don't think you need to be looking for new things. Now, at my point in my life, I have to be with the kids, but for you, no. I mean, you could go 3 times a year and be the same thing and you'd be good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I get what you're saying. That makes total sense to me. So
did we get a trip report or a DVC tip?
We haven't yet. I mean, we just started this up, so I'm not. And I also realized last week that we had not even advertised it at all. So
no, I thought we talked about it.
We did, but it was on the 300th episode, and it was like,
oh yeah, okay,
yeah, no one actually heard anything about it. So one of the things we did want to start doing is we wanted to involve more listener content in the show. And so we want to have this recurring segment, which is basically listener DVC tips or trip reports. We get people emailing us trip reports all the time. But what we're looking for here is like a real kind of condensed trip report. Just tell us what what
like
your favorite
house phone style.
Yeah. And so we actually set up a phone number with a voicemail that you can just call and just leave us a message of whatever.
What if you don't like it? Can you delete it and re-record?
That's a good question. I actually don't know, but you can call. It's 1-833 WHP-TIPS. So it's Welcome Home Podcast, obviously. So WHP-TIPS.
Okay, McGruff.
Yeah, and listen, I ran this number by you guys, and you were good with it. So
no, it's still McGruff, but absolutely,
it's fair. But so if you have like your best DVC tip, call the number. You can also text it too, by the way. So you can text it and just send your text, and we'll just read it.
You can text. Oh boy, you got doomed yourself. Would those texts go to you?
No, they don't go directly to me. Yeah, so if you're going to try to troll me, it's not going to work because I can just avoid them. So don't troll me. But no. So yeah, give us your best tips. Give us your trip report. We'll play it on the show. I mean, like that's what we're trying to do here. We want to do more of this. We really, took a look at back at our show, and we decided we kind of got away from involving the listeners in as many things as we used to. So this is kind of our way, I think, to bring more listener content back to the show. So
and come back to the group.
Yeah, well, that too.
Come back to the group and talk.
Yeah.
Who do we miss the most? Who do you miss the most?
Who do I miss the most?
Who do you miss the most?
If we say a name, then one of the other names is going to be
That's okay. Sometimes you just have to say it.
No, don't do that.
I'm going to because I don't care. I think I miss Jeremy the most because I worry that I'm starting to run out of maple syrup.
It's only my selfish reasons that you want more.
For 100% selfish reasons, I worry that I may run out of maple syrup.
I do miss the amount of memes that we used to get from Francisco and Jeremy. We don't get as many, I feel like, as we used to. But there was a lot of people doing memes for a while that were really funny. So yeah, I do miss the memes a little bit. Yeah, I want some more memes.
Well, you got to do silly stuff to get memes, though, right? A regular show doesn't get memes.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, I guess I have to do more silly things, is what you're saying?
Somebody does.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever seen Trevor do a silly thing, so, Tom, it kind of lends itself to us. Trevor's too prim and proper for silly things.
What are you talking about?
That's not true at all.
I've been memed on multiple times.
Yeah, he has been memed. Yeah, he has. Although I feel like I get the brunt of it most of the time.
Okay, right now, I will admit, I'm... So you talking about your going to Universal thing, Damon, got me completely distracted from the conversation. And I realized that I hadn't bought my express passes for my upcoming trip.
Oh, boy. Okay.
And I am kind of upset because it looks like there is no express passes available for the week that I'm going.
Wait. So you're doing express passes. Oh, because hold on. So you're
staying at Universal proper. Yeah.
We're not going to.
But I know, but you're not staying on site at Universal.
No, we're not.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of mad because Trevor. Yeah, I can't get express passes, and I'm sitting here going like the week before. That's so weird because Epic Universe doesn't open until the following week, but all the express passes are booked up.
And let me tell you, and listen, not for you because I feel bad for you, but it is a very good thing that stuff like this happens, that they don't just keep selling. They're like, you know what? Sure. There's a cutoff. And again, I hate that you can't get it, Trevor, but I would also go up to the window that day.
Oh, wait, no, I can get
1 day.
I can get 1 day ones. Yeah, that's way more expensive.
It was funny. So for me, I was like, oh, I don't have options. Like it's that day or no day.
Yeah.
Mine were $250 for just Epic.
Oof.
Just Epic.
$250 a pop?
$250 a pop. I told you it was $1,300.
Yeah, mine are $175 each. So
listen, that's rough.
But again, I would tell again, I'm sure Trevor's thinking the same thing. If he's not going to be back for a couple years, it's almost kind of worth it.
It is. No, it is. This is absolutely worth it because my brother and I agreed we are doing all this stuff because This is a once in a lifetime trip for the two of us.
Hagrid's is the only thing you got to worry about, really.
Yeah. And I'm not that worried about Hagrid's. I'm just wanting to make sure that
Did you see today, though? I was thinking that there should be a new part of the show where it's, what did you see on the internet today?
I kind of like that as a segment.
Right? I kind of liked it. There was two things that I saw, and listen, I'm not saying like random stuff. I'm saying like based on some sort of amusement park, right? Like at least funnel it down to amusement park.
Context to our show topics kind of stuff. Yeah.
Let's say ish, right? So the two things that I saw, did you guys see how packed Epcot was yesterday?
No.
I saw tons of pictures of people. It was like wall to wall. It was absolutely
spring break. Oh,
spring
gosh.
break.
That's why.
Yeah, it was insane. And I said, there is no way you could get me to go to a park like that.
During spring break is like the absolute worst time to go.
Well, and then what kind of led me to think about this was the second part of it was I saw today that Hagrid's was up to like 190.
Yeah, that's great.
And I was like, oh, that kind of hurts a little.
So, okay. All right. Let's talk about that for a second because so this is a thought exercise now because I'm going to be there and
what's the number?
So
what's your number?
Yeah. So this is the thing. It's going to be just my brother and I. So it's just, it's not like I'm dealing with a family. It's just the two of us. And
which makes
how long? Yeah. But how long would still seem reasonable to stand in line? Like I'm still of the opinion, like anything over 45 minutes for me is like, nah, that's too long.
I can do an hour 15 as my number.
Hours. Mine's
an hour 15.
But if it's Hagrid's and I know, like I can't express pass it. I can't, it's the line is long and I know I'm never going
to Universal again, Trevor.
We're going to be there. We're going to have 2 days in Universal. So
I wonder with everything at Universal and the fact that you're not, well, you said you could get fast passes maybe for a day. You don't know.
Well, I'm thinking that's what I'm debating right now is do I just buy the express passes just for
the day?
Yeah. Just to have them for whatever day.
I kind of would, because I don't think that you could do everything at the park in 2 days if you haven't been there in a long time. Like for me, like I was looking the last time we were there, like there's things we could skip because I was there. Yeah, I was there. But for you guys,
I mean, yeah, we are very targeted and like we're after the big roller coasters and stuff.
Velocicoaster is on Express Pass now, so there's that.
Okay,
that by itself, I think, is a win. I think Hagrid's might be like one of the only rides that's not on Express Pass. Probably
because it breaks down all the time.
I mean, maybe. I mean, Tom has to sneak that hate in there.
No, not at all. I think I think that's the legitimate problem.
I've heard.
Okay, so assuming I have an Express Pass,
yep.
And if Hagrid's was still up at like, pushing an hour and a half, like,
you just rope drop that.
You could certainly try.
Okay, and here's the other rub with that. Rope dropping is actually very hard for me because
the time change,
because of the time change.
Not only that, but he's not truly really rope dropping when you think about it, because he's not there. Like if it opens at 8 and he gets there at 9, when people aren't staying at the park, it's not rope dropping.
You have to get there much earlier. I mean, he can't get in because everyone from Universal Hotels will be there, so he can't actually rope drop.
So then when does it not be of a benefit, right? Like it hits a point where
I think what people are saying is that, and here's the other kind of rub, is that from what I understand, like I said, I haven't been on it yet, but again, just reading the internet stuff, I love the internet, is that the ride is supposedly a lot better at night. So you don't even have the ability to like, I'm going to shut it down at night when people go home, because people specifically wait to ride that ride at night.
Interesting.
Yeah.
If you do it at night, though, you're definitely gambling, right? Because, like, what if it does go down for hours at a time, and then you're just stuck?
And then it's like, am I hanging around?
Yeah,
I think if you hit Velocicoaster and you miss Hagrid's, I still think it's a win of a trip for you.
That's fair.
I'm thinking the same thing, to be honest with you, Trevor. Like, I want to do Hagrid's, but I've heard Velocicoaster is the best coaster ever. So I'm okay if I hit Velocicoaster and miss Hagrid's. I'm not going to be that upset.
Yeah, but it's an interesting thing, right? Talking about, like you said, spring break and like seeing how bad it can really get. Like in a month, it'll be different, but I'm also wondering, because of it butting up against Epic Universe, it may actually be worse because, do you think it would be worse because there will be a subsection of people? Like when I planned my trip, I was not thinking about Epic Universe at all. But do you think that there's people that are going now trying to get in the trip before Epic Universe opens? Like,
I don't necessarily think so. I get what you're saying. I don't think so. I don't think Epic Universe, because you can't go whenever you want still, I don't think that's going to, like, people are going to have to do the other parks. You can't just be like, hey, I'm going and I'm going to go to Epic Universe for 4 days, right? You can't do that. So I don't think it's going to impact a lot. I mean, I think you're going to have a fun trip. The question really comes down to, how bad do you need to ride Hagrid's? I mean, I heard it's good, but I don't need to, like, I don't think it's that much different than other coasters you've been on.
Yeah, I mean, unlike Tom, I don't hate Harry Potter, so
it's still just so crazy to me. But okay,
sorry, Tom. This is the new meme. You started this, so you have to deal with this now. We've gone from not riding Space Mountain to you hate Harry Potter.
I've always hated Harry Potter. This is not news.
Yeah, but it's a new thing on the podcast. So.
Yeah.
I thought I've said it, but I thought I said it previously.
You may have.
This was a new thing.
I think we may have ignored it just because we weren't really
it was such a ridiculous take. Yeah.
If Disney had Harry Potter, I'd still hate Harry Potter. It's not.
No, that's true.
I just don't.
It's a ridiculous take. It's like hating. Like, I'm trying to think of something else that's at that same level.
Yeah, so you talking about all your stuff, Damon. This is actually like I need to go and do some work now when we're done with the podcast. I need
some homework.
Yeah, I think you have a little bit of homework, man.
Yeah, okay. You do. Okay. Well, Trevor, you also wanted to talk about booking Disneyland. Yeah. So outside of this trip that we have coming up, my wife and I have been talking about, we wanted to go to Disneyland in like close to Christmas time. So, this one is still kind of fuzzy. Like we're not sure yet if we're going to take this trip because it is closer to the end of the year, and we're kind of waiting to see how things play out throughout the year here. But I did book a room at the Disneyland Hotel. So for anybody that is wondering about this, like I was wondering about this months ago, is, how feasible is it to book the 7-month window at the Disneyland Hotel? And I will say it was actually, like, looking at the availability, it was really good. So the Disneyland Hotel has actually, I think, solved a problem at Disneyland that, as a DVC member, it was basically forget it. Like, you're not staying at a DVC hotel because Grand Californian it's still awful. So when I looked at it, getting my booking at the Disneyland Hotel, super easy. I'm only there for 4 days. So we're actually going from a Monday to a Friday because you don't need quite nearly as much time in Disneyland. Sure. Yeah, it's different.
And so we're keeping it as a bit of a shorter trip. And so we got the Monday to the Friday, no problem. But then I started looking at, like, my wife said, I'd like to stay at the Grand Californian. And so I started looking at rooms, and there was only 1 day available in like the middle of the week, and everything else was waitlist all the way up to the end of December. So not even like, it wasn't even like, just my week is busy, or, around the 7-month window is busy. No, it's just flat booked. Like people book that up. Even like, I think getting it at 11 months is even hard to do from the looks of it. So
interesting.
So yeah, and we had talked about, in the past, would the Disneyland Hotel opening up make the Grand Californian easier to book? The answer is no. It's not, at least right now, it's not. Yeah. So that was interesting. I'm still going to waitlist it. I'm going to see if I can, if we can possibly get in there. I'll come back with, if we do manage to get a waitlist in there or not. But as it stands right now, I'm at least happy that having an option on the West Coast is good. Like it's good that you can at the very least get into one of the hotels. Like my wife kind of balked at when I said, well, we're going to the Disneyland Hotel. She was like, oh, because it's the furthest hotel away. And if you know how Disneyland's laid out, it is not or it's the furthest walking, and there's no buses or anything. The closest is you do have the monorail, but that really only gets you into Disneyland. It doesn't help you with California Adventure. So, knowing all that, it's like, yeah, it's fine. It's not that big of a deal, but yeah, ideally getting the Grand Californian would be like that is the prime real estate, because it does have the direct access to Grand or to California Adventure, and it's very 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 close to the front entrance to Disneyland. So
okay,
it is what it is. But yeah, so I do have another trip booked this year, which feels kind of weird because I have done 2 trips in a year previously, but it's been more than 5 years since I've done it. So, yeah, I'm kind of excited about it, but still kind of waiting to see how things play out if I get what I want.
I'm going to need so much help when I go next year.
Well, yeah, we can talk about it when you get there. So
you're going to need a handhold there.
Yeah, man.
And point wise, it was so for those 4 days, it only cost me. I actually went with a premium view room because I figured why not. It only cost me 92 points.
That's not
so are you telling me that I really should rethink and maybe use points at there?
You might want to, Damon.
I'm against this, but I think that you're starting to talk me into it now.
I'm just saying it, like for 4 days, it was pretty cheap. Like I didn't even have to go to my second contract. And yeah.
Okay.
Just saying.
I'll be excited for the episodes next year when Damon's planning this and you walking him through this.
Yeah,
it's going to be fun.
It's going to be such a movie driving cross country for sure.
Oh yeah. I feel like you need to do like a podcast while you're driving across the country.
Could you imagine?
I think it'd be awesome, actually. The ultimate Damon detour,
or at least just do like voice notes as you're going, so we can compile it all together.
Maybe I'll call into WHP-TIPS.
There you go.
Actually, you know what? That'd be kind of funny. I'm just imagining you going like day 3. I hate all my children. I want to cancel this vacation immediately.
This was a mistake.
Like we've made
Tennessee, and I want to go on.
We've made such like I've made such a big deal about it. And like the kids are totally like, we're not doing it. We're not doing it. It's like, no, we would have 100% done this. Like if we didn't, like if COVID didn't happen, it was on our list of things to do. So yeah, it was funny though. But they're like, it's not happening. Like, oh, now like I'll make it happen. Like if that's the case. But yeah, we're going to Dallas first. Everyone like besides me and somebody else, they're going to Dallas, and we're driving from Dallas. I mean, I'll be driving from North Carolina.
Yeah.
But not everybody.
You can have like an RV, or you're just doing like a van trip, like a.
I think just a van trip. I think,
okay.
Because again, if there's only 2 of us driving from NC to Dallas, and then Dallas
just hotel it.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Before we move on here, I just wanted to tell something that I thought was kind of funny today. I drove my daughter to a birthday party, and she said I was asking her about if she was excited for the cruise, for the Disney cruise. And she goes, yeah, I'm really excited to see the Grand Canyon. And I said, what now? You're excited to see the Grand Canyon? She's like, yeah, the Grand Canyon. And I was like, but we're not seeing the Grand Canyon. And she goes, Mommy told me we're seeing the Grand Canyon. I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, oh,
Grand Cayman.
Nice. I was like, oh, okay. Does she think the Grand Canyon's in the ocean? But I just thought that was hilarious because I was like, Grand Cayman. Yeah. So anyway, but do we want to do ad, and then we'll do all the other stuff we actually planned for this episode?
Yeah. Let's do an ad, and then I think we should at least go through 1 or 2 of the listener questions.
Yeah.
Let's see where we go from there.
Yeah. Let's do that. I think
it's you this week because last week's ad was unhinged. I remember.
Oh yes, I actually said in the Discord, and this was true, Damon, that was the hardest you've ever made me laugh on the show. You would really.
I forgot what I even said.
You were just doing little like
you just.
Oh, we had it
on me doing the ad.
It was killing.
Nice. Yeah, that was fun.
Sponsor for this episode is DVC Resale Market. DVC Resale Market, a World of DVC company, is the leader in the DVC resale industry with 13 former Disney Vacation Club guides and 3 former Disney Vacation Club quality assurance managers. If you're thinking of buying DVC, browse the largest selection of DVC resale listings anywhere. with DVC experts on hand 7 days a week to answer your questions. If you're thinking of selling, turn to the friendly professionals at DVC Resale Market, where over 98% of listings sell within 30 days. In 2024, DVC Resale Market helped over 4,400 families join or add on to their memberships. Go to dvcresalemarket.com/welcome home or call 1-844-DVC-PROS. That's 1-844-382-7767. And we speak to them. Be sure to let them know that Welcome Home sent you. I do also want to mention, too, that our friends over at DVC Resale Market have launched a new app. So I used their app before, right? I don't know if you guys have ever... Did you use the app?
Yeah, I did use their app. I was keeping track of some contracts at one point.
Yeah. Well, so they revamped the entire thing, right? So they like redid the entire thing and they just released it. And now it's like way easier to use. It's got a better interface. You can track things better. You can get like real-time alerts and stuff like that. You can you can actually like put all your DVC contracts in there and you can like watch the value of your contracts. Like you can see, what the value of your contracts are. So in case you do decide you want to sell at some point, you know exactly what your value is. So it's really cool. You've got real-time notifications. Like I said, you can save searches again. You do customizable, settings and things like that. So I highly recommend if you're like a DVC resale person, check it out because it's a really well done app. They recently, like I said, they recently redid it. So
even if you're not a DVC resale person, if you're still just like kind of figuring out DVC, it is a good place with a lot of information because Disney will tell you about how to buy things direct, but the resale market has a lot of advantages to it. And
it does.
Yeah, apps like this are a great way to understand what the lay of the land really is.
Agreed. Yeah. So yeah, check that out. Let us know if you check it out. So we got a couple listener questions, and I say we pick just because of all the other stuff we've been talking about today. Let's just pick one. So I kind of like Jason's question, but Philip's question was from last week, and we could probably say both. I don't know if we want to.
So why don't we do? I think we can do Philip and Jason's questions.
Because this is a question I've always had, though, too. So Philip says, it may be too late for this week, but I have a DVC question. Well, this was last week, so thanks, Philip. When you select a reservation for a wait list, what's the rationale, advantage, disadvantage for having it canceled within 30 days or 7 days? Why is that an option? It's funny. I've always wondered this. I'm like, why wouldn't I do 7 days? Why would I do 30 days instead of 7 days for a wait list? I've never really come up with a good explanation in my head for it.
I guess the way I can see it is on the 30-day, it does give you more room to pivot if you had something else in mind. Yeah. Waiting till the last 7 days means you don't have any time to react because everything is booked up. So sure. The 30-day is, if your plans are, a little bit looser, if you're more flexible with whatever you're doing, I think the 30-day leans more into, you just know that you're going to, or I guess a good example is, you had somewhere booked like, Grand Floridian or something, but you knew that, past a certain point, you'll just stay at, or you'll just try and, get in at like Saratoga or something. Right. But yeah, let's say, I guess the scenario there is like you have another hotel booked, you have one waitlisted booked, but then you have a third backup option. So the 30 days means you didn't get your wait list, but you could still cancel your reservation and go for the other option, like Saratoga. Yeah. Right. So I can see that. And then also things like your points go into holding if you cancel, or correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. If you cancel a reservation, your points get put on hold for a certain amount of time, right?
They go in the holding account.
Yeah. So again, the 30-day thing could be the difference between losing your points versus being able to use them elsewhere, right?
I guess the thing is, so anytime you cancel anytime you cancel or modify a reservation from 30 days to 1 day before your scheduled, check-in date, right? So then they put those points in a holding account, right? Yeah. And then you have to use those within the use year. Like you can't then go and, do that. So you use those, you can't like go and bank them or whatever, right? So you have to use them. You have to use them by the end of your use year or else they just expire. But yeah, I guess that's probably why the 30-day option exists, right? But I don't know. For me, like I'm always, anytime I have a wait list out there, it's because it's going to replace another resort, right? Like right now I have a reservation at Wilderness Lodge for the weekend. You and I are going to, see each other, Trevor. And I have a wait list out for the Poly Tower because I want to stay in the Island Tower, right? But if I don't get it, whatever. I already got the Wilderness Lodge one, so I don't really care if I don't get it or not. I would love to get it. It would be cool if I got it, but probably not going to get it. Although it's only one night, so it's still possible. And truthfully, in the past, I've never relied on wait lists for anything, right? Like we have talked about this before. I am a reservation or booking tool stalker, right? Like, because you can just go and you can like literally just keep hitting refresh, and then it's all day, and then eventually you get a cancellation that pops up, and you'll see it before it even hits the wait list people, and you can book it real fast. And I've done that pretty much every time I've ever booked a DVC reservation. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. For me, I always selected 7 days because I don't really care. Like, it's not going to mess up my plans if I have to, stay at Poly, or if I have to stay at Wilderness Lodge instead of staying at Poly,
Yeah. So yeah, like I get that. But like I said, I feel like this is more aimed at, like we talked about I feel like there is scenarios where you're not like 7 days is too tight of a window for a cancellation.
Sure. Yeah,
right?
I get it.
So yeah. But I get what you're saying. Yeah, I'm the same way, that most of the time I already know what I'm doing well before then. So the 30 days versus 7 days doesn't matter, but not everybody uses their DVC contracts the same way. So I think hopefully that gives at least some insight into why they offer those, Philip. And it's not for everybody.
I really like Jason's question because this made me think a lot, and I don't feel like we've ever answered this question on the show, which is favorite queue at Disney World.
I mean,
I thought about this a lot.
I have an answer that is very specific to the music in the queue, but I don't know that I have a queue that is like, this is my favorite queue ever, because I like a lot of the different queues for different reasons.
It's funny you say that, because my answer was almost going to be Soarin' for the music and the vibe, but there's not really anything else special about that except for the music, right? So I felt like that was almost not the best answer, but maybe that's your answer. I don't know, but
it's not. Okay, so what is your favorite queue then? Since you,
I am going to say that my favorite queue is Toy Story Midway Mania, because of all of the references to toys and all of like the little details within the queue, and then also Mr. Potato Head when he's working is very cool. I will say, if I was gonna, I would also put Flight of Passage up there, because Flight of Passage is an excellent queue as well. Yeah. But that one's definitely up there because there's a lot of cool stuff going on in that one. But for me, I don't know what it is about Toy Story. It just, there's all that stuff in there and the music, and it just really gets you in a good place for the ride,
Yeah, I get that.
Okay, so what's yours?
Okay, so mine. So it's not the most interactive queue, or at least not anymore. It was better at one point, but Space Mountain. So you're talking about like a queue that like gets you amped up for the ride. For me, the vibe of Space Mountain is like it's just right for that particular ride. And the music they have going, it's based off of, I can't remember, there was another attraction that the music came from. And then there was like an instrumental version that got worked into Space Mountain, it's the queue music that you hear now. And I'm blanking on the name of it. It's like Starport or Starscape or something like that.
Yeah.
But that music, like as you're walking down the very long hallway that, everybody knows, especially if you're on the Fast Pass side, like you're booking it down this hallway, and it looks like a Star Trek, like corridor kind of thing. And the music is just very like space, almost kind of mystical.
Yeah.
Just it hits that vibe right. Like that is just Space Mountain, and it totally fits the queue, and it makes me happy every time I go down that or through that queue, because what's coming, right? And yeah, it's Space Mountain. And I know I know you don't like Space Mountain the same way that I do, but
I enjoyed Space Mountain. I like it.
The queue for me is just like there's not a lot to it, but it hits that vibe just right of being the right queue for that ride. Outside of that, other queues that are very impressive that I enjoy, the Peter Pan queue is very cool. I like a lot
with the redone one. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I like a lot of the interactive stuff in there. It's a very fun, it's a queue that you don't feel bad for standing in because it does have a lot of interesting stuff, which, is a lot of the queues now, but that's one of the first examples of it. And I do really like how they did it. The Guardians of the Galaxy queue, I think, is very cool just because same thing like you said with with the Toy Story queue, there is a lot of neat Easter eggs and stuff in it, and just how they have all the there's all these models of Xandar and stuff. So it's again, a lot of really cool detail. It's not interactive, but it's an interesting queue. So those are probably my top picks for queues at Disney World.
I think those are good picks. I like those picks. I agree with you, and to a certain extent, I actually really enjoy the Small World queue just because of maybe it's just a nostalgia thing. I don't know, but all the movement in it and just all the Mary Blair stuff and it's I don't know. It just is. Maybe it's the thing I just remember from childhood. And of course, my favorite ride at Disney is Big Thunder, and Big Thunder's queue is also very fun. Again, and that one's a little interactive, right? But the part I like about it the most is that you can look out and see other people riding the ride, and it's just the theming. And there's also this really cool story behind Big Thunder Mountain that you kind of get bits and pieces of as you walk through the queue. That is the classic Disney stuff that I really love. Cause they, all these, a lot of these newer queues are more high tech. There's more, there's a lot more going on in them. That one is just so simple. There's just little posters on the wall, and there's, stupid little things you get to play with, but they're not
all the hand cranks and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah. But no, I think my favorite is Toy Story. And like I said, I also love Soarin' too, just for the ambiance. I feel like Soarin' gets you really in the mood for Soarin', anyway. All right. So thanks for those questions this week, guys. Keep sending us your questions. We like answering stuff like this. So
yeah, absolutely.
So, this is an interesting one for me, Trevor, because we're getting our first look now. And this is, you can almost call this DVC news, maybe, because, there is part of the Grand Floridian that is DVC, right? So the Grand Floridian has been going, there's been a talk of a lobby renovation in the Grand Floridian for a long time now, right? And they even did some work, right? They did do some work in this lobby, but now they've finally announced the full redo of this lobby. And the interesting thing to me is that I remember, and I said this in the Discord, there were a lot of people, a lot of blogs that were very mad about this because there was a lot of rumors that this was going to go IP heavy, right? That they were going to put a lot of IP into this lobby, where there really isn't any now, But now we're getting our first look at the design, and there's no IP whatsoever from what I can see.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and thinking about you saying there's IP. I'm like, where?
No IP. No, there's no IP.
There's no obvious IP besides the particular concept art has a little girl holding a mini plush, but that's
of course, that's just it's just concept art. But it's, and listen, maybe Disney never intended to fill this with IP, and it was just internet chatter, or maybe they looked at it and saw that people were like, well, now IP's getting into everything, maybe we should pull it back. Maybe they
don't need it in every hotel.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe they decided to pull it back. Listen, this concept art looks great to me. It very much fits the vibe that exists there. It's a lot more modern. It needs a redo. The Grand Floridian's been open since '88. It's getting up there, So yeah, redo this thing. It is their top level resort. So, it's the I don't know if you call it the best one or not, but it's, they present it as
one of the high end ones.
Yes,
for sure.
They always present it as the most luxurious one, right? So yeah, so basically they're keeping a lot of the stuff. Really, the only thing that they're seemingly adding is this bar, so they're adding a lobby bar that is inspired by the lobby's the already existing birdcage that's in the lobby, right? So if you go in there, there's the birdcage there. Now they're going to build a bar that's inspired by that, and it's going to have some stained glass and murals and stuff like that, and also, of course, the birdcage is still staying, right? So they're still going to have the birdcage with the elevator there. But I mean, look, this actually seems like it really fits Grand Floridian to me. I think it looks very good.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my initial reaction to it was, I guess, to be fair, I said, what are they changing? Like
what are they changing? Yeah.
It didn't look too different to me, but I will admit I've not spent a lot of time in the Grand Floridian either. So I guess I don't know the level of detail, but I guess the one thing I'll say is that, like, to your point about it's been open for a long time and the lobby kind of shows that, is, looking at current picks versus what they're proposing here, I feel like they're definitely, you're right, it is being modernized, but I feel like maybe they took some feedback that it's not about necessarily modernizing, but I feel like this may end up being a little bit more timeless.
Yeah, I agree.
Like it feels to me like that, the elements that they're putting in, like the chairs and everything, they're pretty similar to what's there today, but they're just getting everything to a point where I think that, this is a good example of a resort that they can do this renovation and then they don't have to touch it again for another 30 years. And, it looks fine. It functions fine. And, you don't have to mess with it. Like not everything needs to be messed with is, I guess, maybe the takeaway from this is, doing fix-ups, keeping things, clean and whatnot is good, fresh coat of paint and all that. But it really didn't need to be messed with all that much. And
agreed.
That versus, hearing the rumors about, they're going to IP it and stuff, maybe Disney realized, no, you don't need to IP it. Just make it very definitively the Grand Floridian, and that's enough. It'll work. The one thing that I think is kind of weird, but also it's not that weird, is the bar becoming kind of a centerpiece.
Yeah,
it's kind of an interesting choice, because I'm just looking at other Disney hotels. They're not big on selling, like the other ones do definitely have bars in them in various places, or lounges and whatnot, but it's not quite so front and center is the thing.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, that's interesting, but I would hope that you're not getting people drunk off their feet.
No,
the Grand Floridian, right?
This more seems to me like somebody's just like grabbing a drink and then sitting in the lobby listening to the piano player. You know what I mean? And I don't have any problem with that. It's the whole upscale vibe of Grand Floridian, right? Like, I actually think it makes sense for them to put a bar there, to be totally honest, because but you're right. It does look a little bit weird because it's just like a random bar's there. Right.
I guess it's just like, I'm thinking about the other hotels, and again, correct me if I'm wrong. I'll admit, like, I've not spent a ton of time in all of the hotels, but the ones that I have been in, like Wilderness Lodge and Contemporary and Poly, and like all the other deluxe resorts, I can't recall there being like an obvious, like, there is bars and whatnot, but it's not like in the middle of the lobby, right?
Yeah,
like it's just, it's just odd for me. And I don't want to say like, I don't want to be that person, but I feel like it's weird for Disney to have a bar in their lobby. Like it doesn't feel like a Disney thing, except it is, right? Like it's not, or it's not that there's any rule against Disney having a bar in their lobby, right?
Well, yeah, and I mean, this also could just come from a demand of the clientele that stay at this resort. I mean, there is a specific clientele that stays at this resort, and I mean, I know a few people that stay there, and I know for a fact that they would probably appreciate a bar in the lobby. So yeah, I mean, listen, it's not for everybody because not everybody's big into drinking or having drinks, and that's fine, right? Like, but. And to me, this doesn't ruin anything, though. It fits in. it's not like it's a sports bar, right? Like it's one of those things you're going to go up, have a drink, and then probably leave.
yeah, that's fair. I mean, the fact that aesthetically it is very well blended into the rest of the lobby is good. You're right. It's it's not like there's like monitors up and they're running like whatever football games on or something like.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to ruin the ambiance. It fits with the ambiance.
Yeah, it does look classy in it, and like you said, it's probably to fill that niche of hey, I'm waiting for my room or I'm waiting for a reservation, sit at the bar, listen to the piano player, or just hanging out in the bar or hanging out in the lobby is something that some people like to do. So yeah, it makes sense, and like I said, it threw me off at first when it was like it was kind of like one of the big selling points of it, and I was like, oh, that's different. I wasn't expecting that.
It does fit. It fits nicely with the theming, though. Yeah. One of the things that though we're losing with this, and not losing permanently, I think this is just temporary, right? Mm-hmm. Because they're going to be doing construction on the lobby all this year, we're not going to have the traditional gingerbread house. And I think people that know, Disney stuff know that the Grand Floridian gingerbread house is kind of a mainstay, right? I mean, it's been there for 25 years. I mean, they've literally been doing it for 25 years. And then this year it's not going to happen because of the construction, which, listen, I understand. Like, and I understand why you might be upset about it too, like I get it. Like, it's a bummer, but it'll be back, Yeah,
it's like I said, it's you don't want dusty gingerbread.
No.
And I feel like it's one of those things too, that especially if they're doing construction, it like I know like the gingerbread house is very well designed and all that, but if they're working on stuff and like there's stuff vibrating, like tools in the lobby and stuff, the gingerbread house is going to fall apart. Like stuff will fall off the gingerbread house from like vibration, because royal icing is not that stable.
Yeah,
I know they do a good job with it, but it's still not. It's not. It's not like actual brick and mortar. So I get why they would choose not to do that. And I'm glad that they also were upfront about it, that, there's no way that anybody who's paying attention to this stuff should be surprised that there's no gingerbread house this year. The one thing I would offer is that a lot of the other resorts do have gingerbread houses. It's just the Grand Floridian one kind of takes the spotlight.
Yeah.
But maybe this is a good opportunity for some of the other resorts to, really have some interesting showcases this year.
Yeah. I agree with that. I mean, listen, they're still probably going to sell all the treats and stuff like they sell. They're just not going to have the house, and they'll bring it back. And, it's sometimes you got to do this stuff to do renovations. And truthfully, listen, we don't know for sure that this isn't coming back. They might change their mind, or maybe they finish early and they do it. Who knows? They could, still do it. It doesn't mean they're not going to do it, but they probably won't.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just accept it won't be there this year, but I would be concerned if they were talking about not coming back next year. But then,
that would be the longest lobby renovation of all time, though. So.
Yeah. and people would really be up in arms, I think, at that point, because it is one of those things, like you said, it's a pretty iconic part of staying at that resort at Christmas time.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. All right, so let's wrap this up with some talk about Disneyland Paris. We'll go across the ocean here and talk because they are working on something called Disney Adventure Worlds, which is basically a new park, but also they're doing some updates around here too. The really interesting thing is like the whole the Hollywood Studios thing that they tried to do at Disneyland Paris was not well received. And in fact, if you watch the Imagineering story, current head of Imagineering, Bruce Vaughn, said when he first saw it, he was like, is this like a backstage area? Like because it was so unthemed. And listen, Disney built it fast and cheap because I believe they needed to build a new land within a certain amount of time or they were going to lose the lease or something like that. There was a thing, there was a legal thing associated with it where they had to do it. And if they
just had to fill in a gap, basically.
Yeah. Like they just had to do it. Right. So, and look, not great. Right. But so now we have there's going to be a new area called Disney Adventure Worlds, right? And in this area called World Premiere, which is basically there's going to be some different things going on here. One of the things that I talked about this on the episode last week, and I'm not a fan of this generally, right? Is that they're doing a new Up ride, right? They've never done anything with Up, right? They're doing a ride with Up, but it's an off the shelf. It's an off the shelf flat ride. It's they literally just did an off the shelf swings, right? I'm trying to think.
Yeah, actually,
for it. Yeah,
I can't remember. Yeah, it's a swing ride, and
yes,
I'm trying to think what the proper term for it is. But
yeah, me too.
But basically, this one is a clone of the Inside Out ride in California Adventure, except it's Up themed.
It's basically a flat ride that you see at almost every amusement park, and you know, like it's a really straight. It's the just the swings, but I mean they are theming it to Up. Okay, fine. And listen, I said this last week. I don't love the flat ride where you just theme it up a little bit, especially at a new area. But it is what it is. It's not the worst thing in the world that they could have. They need to have rides that are, the A ticket attractions, the B ticket attractions. Not everything's going to be an E ticket, right?
Yeah.
So
this is called, or I'm just looking for it. I think the closest thing to this is a flying swing or flying swings.
Yeah,
it's probably the closest description for this. But yeah, it doesn't feel great that that especially. Okay, let's just call this what it is.
Cheap.
They're selling 2 new rides as part of this update that they're doing a Lion King ride and they're doing an Up ride.
They're doing the Tangled teacups too.
Oh yes. Okay, so all of these rides are, from what I can see, they are effectively just clones of rides that we have in North America, which is fine. It is Paris. They don't have there's nothing saying that they shouldn't get equivalent rides because it's not like, or they don't have like Disneyland there, or they do, but
it's different.
Yeah, but they they don't always have a lot of these things. The thing is that these attractions, they're definitely selling to people that are in Europe, but for the rest of us that, have access to the other Disney parks in North America, like the Lion King ride, it just looks like Tiana's. It doesn't look like anything different than Tiana, other than, they're going to have some different animatronics and stuff. Fine. And then you're telling me that a flying swing ride, it's an Up ride, but it could be anything.
Yeah, it could be anything.
It's very like, okay, guys, like,
I mean, like
try, but
Disney does the same thing that other parks are doing. I mean, listen, everyone does it. Universal does it too, and they even have some of the stuff in their in Epic Universe, which it's off the shelf flat rides that they just theme up a little bit, right? And that's again, it's fine. It's these, we talked about this many times, Trevor. You need people eater stuff, right? Like you do need stuff that is simple, and not everything's an e-ticket. That's just how it is,
And sometimes it's fine that it's it's a 20-minute wait, and gives you something to do while you're waiting for your dinner reservation or whatever.
It's interesting they call it a spinning carousel, because I've never heard it called that before. Because I mean, why would you call it a spinning carousel? A carousel already spins.
But but like I said, I looked it up, and those types of rides, they have there's 10 different names for it. So
there are. I'm not as down about this Lion King ride as I feel like you are, because I don't know if it's really like a Splash Mountain Tiana clone or not.
It very much looks like it to me.
Yes, it does. Yes, it feels.
So looking at the second article you posted for, giving in-depth look at it, the logs look like the Splash Mountain logs, and it looks like a scene that you would see inside of Splash Mountain, except it's Simba, Timon, and Pumbaa.
It does say there's 3 drops in it too. So,
that's weird.
Listen. I'm gonna hold my judgment until we actually see what it looks like. But
do one of the drops go down and come back up?
Yeah, I mean, listen, the outside does look different though, because they don't have, from the concept art we can see, they don't have boats going around the outside, and you don't really see as much of it. Really all you're seeing in this concept art is just the last drop, right? But yeah, I don't know. Well, we're gonna have to see. But you're right. It does feel like an iteration of that, but it also is like, well, anytime you make a log flume ride, are you just going to think Splash Mountain no matter what?
It is hard to get away from that.
It is.
Not going to lie. Like even I've been on other log flumes outside of Disney, and it's hard not to like they're not themed anywhere near as well as Disney, but in your head you're like, oh, it's like Splash Mountain.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and even, we even are referring to Splash Mountain, even though that doesn't exist anymore it does in Tokyo Disney, I believe.
Yeah.
Still there, right?
Well, yeah, it is. Yeah. So, and by the way, so this is taking over Walt Disney Studios Park. So they're rebuilding this second park into something that's not terrible.
Which is fair. And I will say this, looking at the concept stuff not the concept, but the model, there is a couple of funny things I see in there that, we know that they have their own version of the Earful Tower.
Yeah.
But it also looks like there's going to be the something similar to the Mickey hat. It's not exactly the Mickey hat, but there is definitely a large structure that looks like the sorcerer's hat.
Yeah.
Rather.
Yeah.
So I find that funny that it does, like, looking at it looks very much like Hollywood Studios.
Yes.
Like you said,
that's what it was meant to be. It was meant to be Hollywood Studios there. Yeah.
But it's funny how they're now like imagine if they dropped Splash Mountain in Hollywood Studios. like that's just weird. Right?
It feels weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
We should also mention though too, this is also the place. So there's Avengers Campus that's already there, and a Worlds of Pixar area, and they are building a Frozen Land, as well as a whole an area called Adventure Bay, which is kind of like the World Showcase Lagoon. It's just a big, round lagoon where they're going to obviously have some sort of show. So that's going to be there as well. So yeah, listen, we're gonna see how this shakes out. But I don't love the up thing, but again, it's they're just redoing or adding small stuff like that, and I get it. If you want to sink all your money into the e-ticket and like cheap out on the other stuff, like that's what happens. I mean, it happens everywhere. But
I guess the consolation where it looks like the up ride is supposed to be is on your way to and from the Lion King ride. So you can stop there on your way to or from that ride. So
and it looks adjacent to Frozen Land. So it's like right next to Frozen Land. It's almost like they built like a World Showcase, but there's like Frozen Land and then the Lion King area around the lagoon.
It's again, imagine if like World Showcase was in Hollywood Studios, but instead of pavilions, it was rides around the World Showcase.
Yeah. I mean, they're obviously moving.
It sounds like a fever dream.
It does. Well, I mean, that's kind of what Hollywood Studios has become, though, a hodgepodge of a bunch of different IPs, right? I mean, like that's really what Hollywood Studios is now, right? So
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess Adventure World is not too far off of what we already have. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up. We promised we were going to start doing shorter shows, and look at that, we're almost at a shorter show. We're getting there. We're going to work our way
down to an hour
minutes.
instead of an hour and a half.
So give us some credit.
We're getting there.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Okay, so as usual, if you have any questions, trip reports, anything like that, you can always find us at welcomehomepodcast@gmail.com. I will also mention too, outside of the email address, we also have our 1-800 line or
833
or 83. Sorry, I say 1-800, but it's a toll free line.
Yes,
so it's 833 WHP-TIPS.
Yes.
So, drop us a trip report, drop us tips, all that kind of stuff. We love hearing that stuff, and give things that you maybe want to hear on the next episode. You don't have to wait for the question post that we do put into the Facebook group. You could send it to us through the Gmail or through the tips line. So, keep that stuff coming. We are on social media. So, as I mentioned, we are on Facebook as Welcome Home Podcast. We're on YouTube as Welcome Home Podcast, and we're on Instagram as Welcome Home Pics. And As I already mentioned, we have a Facebook group called Welcome Home Disney Waitlist, where you can come and talk about all kinds of stuff that is going on in Disney right now. And if you want to help support the show, you can go to store.welcomehomepodcast.com. It's our store. It has lots of great merch, different shirts. Maybe if you need something for your trip or you need a mug, something like that, please come check out the store. We also have a Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/welcomehomepod and check out our different levels of Patreon support, which has an exclusive logo that you can only get on Patreon. And our Patreon listeners get access to the Discord server, which is yet another place that we talk about all the topics that go on the show. And also our Patreon supporters do get early access to some of our shows, things like Food Time. When we do post those shows, they will come out on Discord or Patreon. I guess Patreon. On Patreon before they're given to the rest of the world. So, yes. If you're looking to get it early, that's one way to do it. And
by the way, Jared, I'm just dying for them to put out some food news so we can start a Food Time show. It's killing me.
We kind of, we're in that lull because it won't be, the next one will probably be
Food and Wine.
Food and Wine, yeah. So it will be coming though. So don't worry. We will have Food Time episodes. And last but not least, if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify or anywhere you can leave us stars, leave us a 5-star review. Just to help the algorithm get us out to more places, and you can also write us a review on iTunes because we love hearing what you guys think about the show.
Yeah, absolutely. And also don't forget to subscribe to Welcome Home Podcast so you can be reminded every time we release a new episode. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube Music, just about any podcast app that's out there. You can find us. Of course, just a reminder to our listeners, Welcome Home Podcast is for entertainment only. We are not employed by the Walt Disney Company, and as such, all opinions we express on the show are our own. So please contact a DVC cast member or Disney cast member for more information about anything we talked about today. Huge thank you to the sponsor of this episode, DVC Resale Market, and also World of DVC, who have been great partners throughout the years. And please go check them out. They're really, really great. Honestly, we get other offers for sponsorships. They're the only one we have because they're the ones that we use, and we really like them. So join us next time for more Disney Parks discussion. Of course, more DVC talk. We hope to see you all real soon.
This is Skipper Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Do a huddle when we hit its hair. How she can cuddle is no man's affair.